If you're a high-achieving woman in corporate America, chances are you hit the ground running when you started your career and entered the workforce full speed ahead. But somewhere along the line, you lost that momentum. Now you're burnt out and looking for a better way to show up as a leader. I want you to know, first, you're not alone. And second, I'm here to help you create a path forward. I'm Brittany, and as a leadership coach, I help ambitious women like you step into your best self as a leader by finding clarity, identifying your next steps, and taking confident action. If you're ready to say goodbye to playing small and hello to finding your voice as a leader, then welcome to the Hello Velocity podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Hello Velocity podcast. I'm so excited you're here. I'm so excited I'm here, and I can't wait to get started. So today's topic is authentic leadership, and it felt so fitting for our first episode because it's such a foundational topic that comes up with a lot of my coaching clients who are women in leadership positions. And before we jump into what that really means, I want to take a step back because we're going to be talking a lot about leadership. And I always like to start with defining that because a lot of people kind of throw that word around and we compare it to management or we use it interchangeably. And I really like to differentiate between the two. All right, so let's start here. Leadership. Leadership to me is all about people and vision and inspiring people to move forward together towards a common vision. Where on the other side, management is more about the tasks and the individuals doing the tasks. So it's more about managing steps, tasks, and processes to move people forward. Typically, when I'm talking about management, it is more in the day-to-day weeds of managing a direct report. It's about the tasks that they're doing. But when we take a step back and look at leadership, it's more about the people involved and the higher level vision and goals and strategies of what they're doing to move forward. And it can be for people who aren't direct reports, right? You can be a leader when it comes to different areas of your life, different projects that you're working on, maybe a nonprofit that you're involved in, maybe you're leading a group of friends to plan a trip. Anything like that can relate to leadership. So I always like to also stress the importance that there are plenty of leaders out there who do not directly manage people in their day-to-day work. But then on the other side, there are plenty of managers who are managing direct reports, but they're not necessarily leading them. They're not bringing in leadership skills to inspire the people and moving them forward on a greater long-term basis towards a vision. Okay, so now let's take this to the next level when it comes to authentic leadership. What do I mean by that? I've found that an authentic leader means that you're leading in a way that's in alignment with your own strengths, with your values, and future vision. So it looks like someone who is really intentional with their communication. They're very in integrity with themselves and the people that they're working with. And they have a lot of respect for the people that they're working with. And those people also have a lot of respect for them. So it's really this two-way relationship. It's being a leader with these people, but also in alignment with who you are at your core so that you can show up as your best self. And honestly, that is everything I want for you as a leader. And this is so important for women especially, because a lot of times women in leadership, especially in corporate America, we don't have a lot of examples of women to look up to in leadership positions. This is not a surprising fact that most leadership positions are held by men in corporate America. So when we do see women in leadership positions, maybe above us, maybe they don't really resonate with us because they don't look like us, they don't talk like us, and the same for the men that we're looking up to. So a lot of times I see women in leadership positions, they tend to shrink, right? They're maybe holding themselves back. They're kind of putting up a bit of a wall between themselves and other people at work because they're trying to either mimic the people around them, mimic the leaders around them to act more like them or how their leadership style is for the people around them, or they're putting other people up on a pedestal like, oh, they must know so much more about leadership, or they've been doing this so much longer, I should copy what they're doing and be less of myself and more like them. Then you find women also, when they take this sort of shrinking style when it comes to leadership, they almost become too agreeable. And they're, again, copying what other people are doing around them. and they're losing their personality throughout this process. But then they become these yes men or yes women who are just going along with it, and it's not in alignment with who they are and what they stand for. And you start to question yourself. You start to question your decisions. You're maybe looking to other people to help you make decisions more often. It really holds yourself back. It keeps you, again, small. It keeps you indecisive. It keeps you less confident. So maybe you're speaking up less in meetings. You're not moving forward as quickly because you're taking too much time to make decisions. And again, people can't connect with you as well because you're not being your full self. You're not being your authentic self. And trust me, I've been there before too, plenty of times. First, when I was in corporate America before starting my own business, I struggled with this topic of leadership all the time. In my mid-20s, I was often the youngest person in the room, presenting to C-suite executives. So this did cause me to hold back a lot. I questioned myself a lot. I found myself over-preparing for any sort of presentation or meeting that I was going into. I would practice and practice and practice, and I would write word for word what I wanted to say because I didn't want to make the slightest error, because I thought if I did, then no one would take me seriously ever again. There'd be some sort of backlash. I would lose this privilege to be in these rooms with these people, and it honestly scared the hell out of me. I also found myself being so agreeable. It was almost like I was malleable to these other people, where they could lead the way for me and tell me how I needed to do things. They could micromanage me to do whatever it is that they wanted me to do. I didn't ever stop to think about it, to think about what I wanted or how I would approach this or how I could step up more. But everything changed when I worked with my first coach back in 2019. When I first worked with this coach, I quickly began to see and learn my own strengths and how to bring that to the table more in my career. I quickly identified I was really good at strategic thinking skills, presenting, and being able to step up to the table and wanting to take on more. So through this newfound confidence in myself and understanding myself, I was able to pitch myself to have more autonomy on these projects and leading these projects more. And I found myself doing less of the over preparation. I was trusting myself more in the moment. I was able to lead things more quickly. And this came up again the last few years while I was building my own business. And it's funny too, because now I'm working for myself. I get to choose how I show up. I get to choose who I'm working with. All of these things are in my control more. And yet I have still struggled with authentic leadership. When I first went out on my own, building my business, I would compare myself all the time to other coaches, other business owners, especially women. And I often found myself feeling less than because my approach to business and coaching is very different than I would call the mainstream approach. What I was seeing a lot of on social media for women entrepreneurs and women coaches leading in the space, there's so many women who are so bubbly and bright and peppy and high energy and wearing, bright colors and sparkly outfits and seem so confident walking into a space and grab the attention of the full room, right? And I struggled because that's not who I am. And that's never who I've been. And I thought that's who I had to be successful in this role as a business owner and a coach. But what I've learned over a lot of work these last few years, a lot of introspection, a lot of continual coaching and learning and growth, is that what makes me unique is actually my strengths as a leader. Just because I'm not bubbly and high energy doesn't mean I'm a bad coach or a bad leader or a bad business owner. It's actually what makes me a really good coach. It's my secret sauce. It's become my superpower, honestly. Me being the soft-spoken, even-keeled person allows me to be a really approachable coach for people. So a lot of my clients have never worked with a coach, and a lot of my clients say to me very quickly how easy it is to open up to me and how much they feel welcomed, even if we're just meeting virtually. They can feel that warmth and that calmness, and I love to use the word serenity that I just bring to a room. I bring to a Zoom room too. And it's become this strength of mine that I now embrace. So it's something that I used to think, even growing up, I was always a quiet kid. And I thought it was a negative thing. but actually now it's become such a positive for me. And I can still go into a room, present to leaders. I can still use my voice in that way, but I don't have to be the peppy person. I don't have to be the bubbly, energetic person. And I can still be heard. I can still be seen. I can still get my point across in a different way. So for you, finding your authentic leadership, I have 3 key areas for you to focus on to get to this level that will be super impactful for you. The first step here is to really get to know yourself better. What are your strengths? What do people come to you for? What are your natural gifts? What kind of energy do you bring to a room? What do people say about you when you're not in the room? What are things that you're just known for? And how can you bring that into your leadership style? I'm going to include a guided meditation on YouTube that's all about authentic leadership to help you take the time to go a bit deeper and think about this topic and see what comes up for you as your strengths and the areas that you want to be known for as a leader. And you can also simply just take some time now to reflect on what those things are for you. What are those strengths? And what do you want to be known for as a leader? Write them down. Step 2 is being able to use these strengths to support your team more intentionally. And again, this is where it really comes through as authentic leadership. When you're connecting with the people that you're working with, you're bringing your authentic self, your authentic strengths forward, and you use that clarity about yourself and then get more clarity about the people you're working with and how you can support them more specifically, more intentionally with your skills. So reflect on maybe some areas where what your team is currently missing. What are those gaps on the team? Maybe what are some pain points you've had along the way or that they've had along the way? And think about how your strengths can specifically support them to move forward quicker, to help ease any miscommunications across the team. And think about, again, what do you want them to feel while working with you? Do you want them to feel empowered, respected, trusted, inspired? Think about those things and how you can bring your skills to the table on a daily basis. And our last takeaway here when it comes to building your authentic leadership is don't compare yourself to other leaders. Instead, compare yourself to your previous self. And you can continually celebrate your growth along the way. This is a really powerful thing, again, to keep in mind that we are all very different, and your leadership doesn't need to look like the person next to you or the person ahead of you or whoever's around you or people that you look up to. It's okay to be different, and we want to lean into that so that you can connect better with the people you're working with, that you can show up as your full self, lean into those strengths, and be a stronger leader for yourself, for your team, and even for your family. Honestly, I've seen this a lot when people, especially women, are leaning into these leadership strengths, that they are more effective at work and they're able to spend more time with their loved ones at home. They're less stressed. They're bringing less of their work home with them so they can show up as their full selves at home too. It's really, really powerful. So maybe take some time to think about how far you've come in the last 5 years. Maybe write some thoughts down and think about where you want to be in the next 5 years or how you want that to look different from a leadership perspective. Take some time going forward, even to reflect on your learnings and growth. Maybe weekly, you're looking back at that week. What did you learn? What are some accomplishments? Maybe at the end of each month, you're doing this. This is really powerful to continue to motivate yourself to continue to grow, to continue to expand, and lean into your leadership and what you want it to look like for you. Several of my clients have come to me with this specific topic in mind because they can feel so blocked about it. So I want to share a few more examples with you. One particular client was building a new team from scratch, and she was really struggling with how she wanted to show up as a leader. She only had one other woman in leadership to look up to, and they were complete opposites, similar to what I was sharing earlier about someone dressing completely different from you, having different energy, different personality from you. So it was really hard for her to stand on her own and decide who she wanted to be as a leader when she inherently seemed so different from the one female leader that she had to look up to. So together we worked on, again, discovering her own strengths, talking through how she wanted to build this team, how she wanted it to flow, how they could work best together, mapping things out together, thinking more strategically. and leaning into her strengths and that how she was able to support her team in her own way and how she could advocate for them and stand up for them. And over time, it became this well-oiled machine of a team. And she grew into her confidence every day to speak up for who she was, what she stood for, what her team stood for, and really confidently communicate that on a daily basis. Another example from a woman in leadership, she was taking over a big project from a man who had been leading it for years and years, and they were both struggling with the transition because he was still holding on and wanted everything to look the same. And she had these new ideas of how to make it even better, and it just wasn't going well transitioning from one person to the other. So together, we worked on her getting really clear on how she wanted to do things differently, talking through how she could communicate that to this previous project owner to transition it fully off of his plate and how to approach it as a win-win for both of them, and that he needed to not be in the weeds of it anymore. She wanted to step up for it, and she wanted to change some things to make it more efficient. We also talked through how to set clear expectations with everyone involved in the project as well, so that they know what would be changing and the impact and the why behind it all. And over time, actually very quickly, she was able to make this project more efficient, and they were seeing greater success very quickly. So let's summarize our key takeaways here about authentic leadership. First, we need you to get to know yourself better as a leader and your inherent natural strengths that you bring to the table. Second, you want to then think about these strengths and how you can support your team more intentionally using these strengths. And lastly, I want you to stop comparing yourself to other leaders and instead compare your current self to your previous self and continually celebrate your wins and growth along the way. That's it for today. Can't wait to see you in the next episode. Kudos to you for taking the time to invest in yourself and your future by listening today. As we wrap up our time together, what's one quick action you can take to move forward on what you learned today? If you need help becoming your best self as a leader in your career and life, head over to my website, hellovelocity.co, to book a free discovery call with me. You can also connect with me by reaching out on LinkedIn or emailing me directly at Brittany@hellovelocity.co. Thank you as always for listening. Until next time.